One of the messages that we like to share in our community is that we need to throw everything at inflammatory arthritis so that we can get the inflammation under control. And today's guest is going to illustrate that really well. Her name's Sonya, and she's in Melbourne, Australia. And she has a journey to share with us about breaking down barriers through drug problems and physical problems until eventually finding the right medication, the right mental approach, the right physical exercise, the right diet, and putting it all together to being in a position where she lives pain-free with rheumatoid arthritis. And of course, that's where we all want to be. And when we hear a case study of someone who's achieved that, then we can learn a lot. So we're not just going to be talking about, today, some kind of breakthrough, no more meds, years of all of that. No, we're talking about a case study of using everything at once, putting it all together and having a tremendous outcome. And so with that, Sonya is going to say hi and join us.
Hi,
G'day, Sonya.
How you going?
Yeah, really good. Thanks for joining me. Middle of the day. It's beautiful here.
Yep.
What's it like in Melbourne?
It's stunning, absolutely stunning. I just wanted to say thank you to you, first of all, for the Patterson program and all the information that you provide for patients with arthritis. It's absolutely incredible. I don't know what I would have done without all your podcasts and all the information through your own journey. So I'm incredibly grateful to you for that information because it certainly made my journey a lot easier to have all of those different insights. So thank you.
Well, that's wonderful and kind. Thank you so much, Sonya. Now, as I said in your introduction, you've taken, like what we love to say, like throwing everything at it. You really struggled. We're about to hear about your story, what you went through. And you've ended up now finding a medication, Cimzia, that works for you. So everyone can understand right from the start that you're on a multiple faceted approach. And so what I'd like to do is just find out, just do a before and after, like the struggles that you had, and then where you're at today. So especially because we want to hear where you're at today, because a lot of people are still in a lot of pain. And then we're just going to break down the drug journey in particular, because it turns out with you that it's the drug journey that was really the troublesome one. And one drug led to side effects that led to troubles to try and heal your gut and so on. So that's what we'll do. But first of all, how are you waking up in the morning these days? And how does that compare to before?
So these days I'm waking up every morning. I get up early. I have no stiffness in the morning. I get out of bed and I go walking with my husband every day. I'm walking 10 Ks every single morning as the sun comes up, and I'm having very minimal symptoms. I feel whole. I feel incredibly healthy. I feel probably the best I've felt really in my life. So I'm incredibly grateful, to be honest, for this journey, as my health is just so good. It's like I've had really an awakening 3.5 years ago now actually longer than that. So 2017, I was incredibly fit. I was running long kilometres every week, and I decided I'd enter the Melbourne Half Marathon. I came 20th in my age group, and I just felt like I was a machine. But at the same time, I'd noticed that in my right side, I developed, and I was accelerating just to feel right. And then not long after that, I developed a frozen shoulder, and I developed terrible pain throughout my body. And I knew there was something not right. So I went and saw my GP 2019 because I developed I went for a walk one day and I got home and my right foot was just blowing up when I got home. And I just said to myself, there's just something really wrong here. 3 weeks later, the same thing happened to my left foot. And went and saw the GP. I noticed that my knee had also got swollen. And he said, look, I'll refer you on to see a rheumatologist. I think it's, I also had joint swelling in my hands. And he said, look, I think it's just related to your sport. You've done a lot of sport, a lot of running, but you can go and see a rheumatologist. And I went and saw the rheumatologist in 5 minutes of seeing her. She said it's inflammatory arthritis. This is definitely inflammatory arthritis. She knew straight away just from looking at my feet because they were so swollen. And then I went on and had further tests that she'd ordered me. And then just before Christmas 2019, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. And I was just devastated because my happy place was always my running. It was from a very young age. I'd done with athletics, then gone on to senior athletics at school. Then I used to run every single day, pretty much from, like when I was 18, right up into my 40s. So
what we're eating, like running is healthy, right? We don't want to create this perception that it's a risk factor for developing inflammatory arthritis. In fact, the studies show that there is no upper limit to the protective effects of exercise and fitness, to the point where the absolute greatest level of fitness that you can achieve correlates with the lowest mortality risk, right? So fitness is tremendous. So what do you think brought this on? I mean, you're fit. So were you eating lots of like processed bars to keep you running and doing protein shakes? I mean, what were you doing?
No, I never really had protein shakes, and I had a reasonably diet, but I was eating meat. I was having dairy before that. 6 months before my diagnosis, I decided to change my diet and I became vegan. So because I knew I was in trouble, but I think I have a family history of autoimmune disease. It's rare. Me and I've got 2 other cousins that have inflammatory arthritis and other autoimmune diseases. So I think, there is a strong family history there, but I would say my diet, along with maybe I did a lot of exercise, may have put my immune system under strain, if that makes sense, because I wasn't having a lot of time, a recovery time in between my training, as well as I used to drink alcohol. I used to drink coffee.
They're not too bad. What about cesarean birth, breastfeeding? Did you get breastfed natural birth?
So I had 2 cesareans, and post one of the cesareans, I had quite a lot of antibiotics because I developed mastitis with my second child. So
you personally had the cesareans. You were a cesarean.
Sorry, no, I wasn't a cesarean baby. No, but I had 2 babies via cesarean.
Okay, and some antibiotics there. All right. And so when you said you went on a plant-based diet, did you do that because you'd already noticed symptoms starting to happen?
Yes, I had. I developed a lot of just migraine pain, and I developed a frozen shoulder, and I just felt kind of would sit in the car when I was driving and just think, oh, what's wrong with me? I just don't feel right. I just feel sick. And so, the pain was really significant. So I just decided, yes, that's it. One day I just said, that's it. I'm going to try this. going to try the plant-based diet and see if that helps. So I started implementing that 6 months before my diagnosis.
Yes. Often what we see is that no matter what you do, when the disease is beginning to progress, it seems to almost be like a snowball building down a hill. It's very hard to stop. So,
that's right.
You can try this, try that, but progression just continues. And that happened in your case.
And that was exactly what happened with me. It was just progressing very quickly.
So tell us about the methotrexate, because that was the Celebrex. And then what happened when you went on to the methotrexate?
Okay, so I went on the methotrexate and my pain levels went down, but I still had swelling in my joints and stiffness. And so I also had issues with some of my liver enzymes. They went up a little bit, as well as my white blood cell count went down low, and I always felt like I had a sore throat. Then from methotrexate, I then tried methotrexate along with plaquenil as an add-on. That never happened. That was not effective, and I developed really bad headaches from that drug. So then I went off that. Then I went on to leflutamide. That seemed to control the symptoms better, but then I had hair loss, and then I then went on to Cimzia, which control my symptoms well.
Fantastic. Okay, so you mentioned the gastritis. Do you think that was, it's hard to identify a particular drug cause, but let's just say that no wonder it was hard to get complete symptom relief on the combination of meds you're on when you've got inflammation of your intestines.
Correct. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So the Cimzia offered you an alternative. It provided you a chance to heal because at this point, as we'll talk about in a second, you're doing so many other things that were awesome.
Yes, that's correct. So I definitely noticed when I went on to the Cimzia, I just felt better in terms of I didn't have sore throats all the time. I just didn't feel like I was getting hammered by methotrexate. I started to feel better. And I actually had COVID March last year. And after I had COVID, I noticed a lot of my body actually started to get a lot better. And I was feeling feelings like I used to before my arthritis. I was feeling whole again. I was feeling great energy. And I just generally felt very, very well. So that was my experience with Cimzia.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we know that biologic drugs frequently don't create complete symptomatic relief, right? We know that there's more to it than just what drug we take is going to create a miracle outcome. Like I thought that, for example, with methotrexate, I thought if I'm going to take methotrexate, okay, fine, I give in, at least I can have no symptoms so that I can therefore, take the drug and have pain relief. And I know methotrexate's not a biologic drug, but we do assume that as we go up the echelons of medication prescriptions, that we're going to hit one that's like a miracle. That's not necessarily the case.
That's right.
For your body, the way that your body metabolized certain meds, you found that the meds were a wrong combination for you and causing more of the underlying cause or contributing to it. And then you found the drug that works and we tick the box, a big green tick.
Yes.
But everything else needs to be done in parallel so that we create this rock solid future. So what are the other things that you do? Just go through one at a time and tell me what else do you do that really helps you?
Okay, so things that have really helped me is obviously adopting the Patterson program. I just found that I love eating that way. It's finding that it's just so nourishing. Eating a lot of leafy green vegetables, lots of whole grains. like the buckwheat, the quinoa. And basically, I've just adopted a high raw diet, some cooked foods, but and basically don't eat really any processed foods. I've just found that, particularly last year, that I had a big change the way I felt. And I think it's from the 3.5 years of adopting this particular diet that I felt like that. So I'm just really passionate about it. I've just really loved, I just love eating that way. I just feel like it helps my body to feel great. Yeah, I've really embraced being a vegan and learned to cook in different ways. And I really feel like it definitely has helped my arthritis.
Yeah, great. And exercise, you used to do lots of running. Now, what do you do now instead of running? Or are you planning to run again? And what about with regards to, upper body as well, weight training or anything?
Yeah, I've done a lot of exercise. So 2021, I was walking every day. And then 2022, I basically I had a few problems halfway through last year, and I spent all of last year uh, basically trying to rehabilitate my right leg. And now I'm back walking, back doing weights, and I've done a lot of upper body weight. With my hands, my right hand, I developed some dexterity problems, like just when I was out shopping, opening up plastic bags and things like that. So I've done a lot of like hanging off bars.
Awesome.
I did a lot of chin-ups, and just really throughout the last 3.5 years just said to myself, I'm going to become as strong as I can. And that's pretty much what I've done. So,
wow. The way you speak about it, it makes me think like it's like what you're saying is actually far more profound than the way you're telling us. You know what I mean? You're just like, oh yeah, I started doing like chin-ups, and we're like, hang on a second. There's only a handful of women at the gym doing chin-ups. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, oh yeah, I just totally just like started like rehabilitating everything. So, I mean, I think you're being humble and understating some of the achievements that you've done here.
Yes.
So, be proud of these things.
Yes.
These are hard things to achieve.
Yes. Yes.
Your hands were inflamed. You said your feet were killing you, your knees, I mean, all this stuff's going on. So to be able to achieve that is immense physically.
Yes. And from the time I got diagnosed, I just said, that's it, I'm going all in. I'm not going to go in this half-baked. I'm just going all in. I'm going to heal myself, and I'm going to live the best life I can and have the best outcome for myself. And I started thinking to myself, best outcome, because I had a lot of fear of, because the joint pain was there. When I'd be out walking, I'd think, oh, it really hurts, my knee really hurts. But I had to say to myself, no, you're okay, you're safe. You're okay, you're going to be okay. Just keep going. And I used to say that to myself every single day. And I've definitely got back running at times. And when I have, I've just been so grateful. I've got a few mechanical issues in my right leg, and I don't, so that's probably what's been holding me back from running, but that's my dream, to get back to my running.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you like that. I think you can disassociate the level of success with running or not running. Whether or not you can run is not ultimately the measuring stick as to whether or not you've done amazing things. Do you know what I mean?
That's that.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've definitely gone back and forth, where, I've always sort of, the running's been so much part of my life. But
Yeah.
then I have been thinking along those train of thoughts, it is okay. I'm doing tremendously well. I'm out walking 10Ks a day. In 2021, I walked 3,500 kilometres. So,
Yeah, that's a rheumatoid arthritis record. So, you're setting the bar higher than anyone else in the world. What else are you doing then? So we've got the drug right. We get the diet, we get the exercise right. We've drug, diet, exercise. Let's talk about stress reduction.
It would have been around in 2021 in October. I just started on the Sonya, and I decided, well, I'm going to try and meditate and see if that really helps me. And I used to meditate up to 3 hours a day. And what I found was that my gut health started to improve. I started to feel feelings of wholeness again. I just felt like my health was really starting to turn around. And I thought, there's something in this, there's definitely something in this meditation. So I just kept on doing it every single day. And, trying to feel feelings of feeling uplifted rather than feelings of feeling depressed, really changed the way I felt about myself. It was just such a positive experience, and really has really helped me a lot.
Out of a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the worst, where would you say that sort of depression and mental health challenges were for you before you got everything right?
I would say that it was quite a significant problem, especially, 2020. Obviously, I was at the start of the journey, and the pandemic had hit, and I really, I was obviously with my family every day, which was fabulous, but like socially, like we were very isolated, Melbourne being like the city of being in lockdown. And so I kind of had time to think about, where was my life going? How was I going to go on these drugs? But I eventually just said to myself, yes, this is it. I'm not going to feel this way anymore. And I eventually got better.
Yeah, for sure. And then what about how's your sleep? Do you have any sleep strategies you can share with us that work for you?
I really prioritize my sleep. At the start, when I was really sick, I was going to bed at 8:30 at night. Like, I'd get to the end of the day and think, I've just got to get to bed. Like sort of going to bed at 10 o'clock. I would be first in bed in the house. So I just consistently stuck with the sleep, because I just felt like the sleep was the part that was really healing my body. And then I listened to one of your podcasts on vitamin D, and I was like, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to try the vitamin D. I read the book, The Optimal Dose, and he talked about how fantastic it was for sleep, for deep sleep. I really found the vitamin D very helpful for that deep restorative sleep, and really I haven't looked back since taking the vitamin D. Like, my sleep is just so good every night. I rarely wake up. I really wanted to stay at the really high dose of vitamin D, but unfortunately I had to drop back to a slightly lower dose, which is like I take 7,000 units a day. And but what I was finding with the 30,000 was I was really getting like, I was sort of going to sleep and then I was awake, like.
Oh, you mean like you slept so
just
well?
like just slept so well, yeah. But I couldn't, I couldn't keep taking that because my levels just went up really quickly. I didn't expect that they would go up so quickly. I thought, oh yeah, no, a couple of months, and I was like 3 weeks, and I was there. I started to feel a bit like off in my stomach, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? Like I'm really, I never reached the toxic bowel. I had some symptoms, but I didn't have the calcium in my blood. So I really wasn't officially like at a toxicity level. But but my sleep is very important. And I notice if I have a late night, I probably don't feel quite as energized the next day. So
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, that was an experiment I went through too. My wife and I both, we at one point used to supplement, and then we had our numbers checked, and we're like, "Whoa, supplementing this is easy." I don't know, like about everybody, but certainly the people I've communicated with, like yourself and many other people, if you hit up this like the 5,000, 10,000 international units a day, and you're not taking some kind of lousy product, the vitamin D, it's going to shoot right up real quick. It's an easy change to make. And so I love it as a simple strategy to correct for inflammatory strategy disorders, because if your vitamin D is off, that's a no-brainer. You've got to get that up. That's like one of the foundational things for us to have a well-balanced immune system. So,
and I just felt since I've started it, I pretty much haven't been sick at all. And my kids, like post-COVID, we had COVID last March, and I have not been sick since then. And my husband's had the flu twice. My kids have had the flu twice, but I didn't get any of it. Like none of it. It was.
And you're the one on an immunosuppressant.
That's right. And I was just like, it was a moment that I just went, wow, like I'm not getting these flus, I'm not getting colds. And I'd been so sick on the methotrexate in terms of sore throats and always feeling quite off on it. So going to really a whole year without anything has been amazing. So that podcast and that book has been fantastic.
Great. Yeah, I'm really glad that helped. All right, what are we missing here? Do you take any other supplements?
I take zinc, the B12 spray, and vitamin D. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
And
great.
I have trialed a couple of times probiotics as well. Good quality probiotics. I've tried those as well and had pretty good outcomes with them.
Okay.
My gastro health point of view. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of gastro health, then how are bowel movements for you?
They're excellent. So very good. Yes.
Great.
No problems there.
I imagine very different to when you were having gastritis with
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Quite a contrast. Yeah. Definitely my gastrointestinal system is not great. And I think even before the diagnosis of the arthritis, I had problems as well. Had problems digesting fats. Yeah. So, but now I'm in a really great position.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. So it feels that if I was to summarize, and you can modify this if I make some errors here, but it seems like you were living a fitness lifestyle, and for reasons that remain a mystery, you developed inflammatory arthritis, you then, through either intuition or through conversations, you decide, I'm going to go plant-based to try and bring this under control. Just making some changes to a plant-based diet without going full on like elimination process, sticking with certain foods with certain healing properties and so forth. It wasn't enough to curb the tide of eventually rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis. And then you've tried non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, methotrexate, hydroxychloroquine, and then leflunomide, which didn't work for you. The combination created a mixture of different side effects without being adequate enough to justify the insufficient pain relief that you were getting. And so rheumatologist does the right thing, comes in and said, all right, let's try a biologic drug. And we're fortunate, living in the same country here in Australia with socialized medicine, you're able to get onto that because you demonstrated that you failed other meds without a cost. So you've then gone on to the Cimzia. This has been a drug that's synergistic with your body, and it's enabled you to go hardcore on the exercise, on your diet, on your meditation, on your sleep improvement through research and implementing some testing on dosage levels of vitamin D. And the whole package has led you now to today to feeling great as someone with rheumatoid arthritis who feels tremendous and grateful. And it's a wonderful thing.
It's absolutely amazing. Like where I was compared to where I was in 2019, my life is just really, I'm so grateful for where I'm at. I just feel amazing. I feel, I'm not getting sick. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling just so grateful for my journey because I feel like long term, like my health is going to just be so much better for it. My cardiovascular health. I just feel like for me, like it was just a really great decision to invest as much energy as I could to healing myself. And I feel like I've really accomplished that, even though I've gone through so many ups and downs. But the holistic approach of trying to attack it in all different areas has just driven me to get a very good outcome for myself. And definitely the nutrition has played a massive part in that. Just consistently eating the right foods, consistently, slowly introducing, like I stayed on the baseline Patterson program, I would say for 6 to 7 months, whereas just eating the same thing because I had so many food intolerances. So I sort of, and now I feel like, I'm able to embrace all the different varieties of foods in terms of, I'm able to eat grapes, and because my gastrointestinal system is so much better, I'm able to eat that really great diversity of foods, and that's a great feeling in itself. I'm really passionate about nutrition, and I always have been. And really, it's opened up a whole new world for me. I feel that's just really amazing. You can see it like from the time I've started in 3.5 years to now. It's so much easier to eat out to get a plant-based meal than, say, 3.5 years ago. And I feel like in time to come, hopefully plant-based nutrition will be within our hospital system so that people that are really sick can access these nutritional foods to support their health. It's a pretty evolving area, I think. And the science, obviously, that's supporting it is there. And I think that's just amazing.
Yeah, and I believe that a whole bunch of funding has been put in place for many of the New York hospitals under the under now this sort of control of the vegan mayor who has taken over,
Yes,
to be plant-based in their hospitals,
which is incredible.
Which is groundbreaking, right?
Yes.
So the default meal in New York hospitals will be a plant-based meal.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. And I was chatting with Dean and Aisha Sherzai, who are the brain docs, on Instagram at a conference recently, and they said that they expect California, their hometown, to follow suit, because California is pretty forward thinking, and that could happen also in some or multiple hospitals in California with some luck. So once that starts to happen, people pay attention. And once the studies start coming out to say, hey, the duration between post-operative care and departure from hospital is quicker at these hospitals where there's plant-based diets, that's going to catch on. And so that's going to be good. So I'm glad you brought that up. We're both passionate about that, and feel like we're on the right path, a world path, not just a sort of a community path. And well done with all that you've done. Thank you for sharing your journey with us so far. Lots of things for you coming up in the future. And with all the things that you're doing, it's so great to hear you're living a really, really high quality life, and demonstrating to us all that high quality life with rheumatoid arthritis is what we are aiming for, what we strive for, and what we shouldn't stop until we achieve.
That's right. Thanks, Clint. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. I really am. I would have been lost without your program and your direction and all the information, all the podcasts, and it's been just so helpful. So thank you so much.